Yeah, sure. So, I mean, it's a startup, based out of Bali, started by an Indian guy who settled there. So, I'm helping him, with the operations. So, what we are doing is essentially get experiential learning and democratize curriculum in the space of higher education, make micro degrees essentially. So it's not a old concept, but we are calling it the University of Emerging Tech, unlike Upgrad, and it's our way of selling it. But essentially, the underlying principle of it is to make curriculum more democratized, democratic from the industry, and also to make it as flexible in terms of duration, so that people don't need to wait for a stipulated period, right? So that's the whole premise. So we talk to a lot of industry folks and try to enable micro masters programs, essentially, and that's why the name university exists. So it's
Exactly.
yet to become a formal university. It is not a formal university. It is a digital online university.
Understood. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so you are you in Hyderabad now?
No, actually, I'm in Singapore right
Oh, is
now.
it okay? Oh,
Yeah.
so I think it is an hour ahead, right?
Two and a half.
Two
Two
and
and
a
a
half.
half.
2.5.
Yeah. 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 Not a bad time for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost like close to post dinner for you, I guess.
Yeah. This is post dinner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, during the day it would be a little more
Yep.
uh, running between meetings, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
is pretty relaxed time.
Totally, totally. Um,
So, so this tool that we are currently using,
yeah.
what is this tool? I mean,
This
which technology?
this is a custom VC tool that we made. I mean, so it's called Berry, and it came out of an offspring or an offshoot out of community, managing communities. So this is
Hmm.
founded by the founder of Startup Grind, who built the community for startups, and then he realized it would be a great idea to have our own tool for managing, the events. So essentially, it came in like more like out of necessity of
Hmm.
doing a lot of events. So it's similar to tools like
Zoom.
Zoom or WebEx or other stuff, but it is a little more aligned. We have a very specific tool for hosting conferences. So there are breakout rooms, and I mean the concept also exists in Zoom, but it's
Hmm.
done specifically to address the needs of large conferences per se. So that's and manage communities. So it's based
Okay.
out of San Francisco, and started by the founder of Startup Brand. Um, yeah.
I
So
must
you
say
can see that it's powered by
that.
Berry. So Berry is that the tool. So we use that, and we still it's being experimented right now. It's in a stage where we hosted the Google Dev Fest recently
Mhm.
with about 125,000 attendees. One of the largest sort of virtual sort of events that anyone has done. So almost about multiple countries, 100 plus countries with events happening for a month. So it's given. I mean, given that it's a new tool, people liked it. There are some things that we're trying to fix, but I think it's fairly you know
I would say
fairly
fairly good
useful.
quality. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if it's time, it's almost 7. We have still people joining. I think slowly people keep joining. It's the Hyderabad standard time gets people.
Okay. No, are we live now or
Yeah, you're not audible, Sridhar.
I'm not audible?
Yeah, yeah, not yet. Yeah,
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
yeah, you are audible. Yeah, you're audible,
Okay.
Sridhar.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Oh, you mean to say we are not audible to the audience?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now you are. I think now you are. Yeah.
Okay, we are live now. Hello.
Yeah. So let's get this kick started. I think people will keep joining. We'll anyway get this on YouTube. Just
We'll get to know people who
reminder to
are
all.
already there. I think that will give me some perspective in terms of
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
what could
have
be.
Dr. Kishore, some of the regular community folks to join, and then folks from other cities as well. So, guys, let's get this started. Good evening, Peter. Thanks for joining us. Guys, it's really a pleasure to have Sridhar. Sridhar is the founder and CEO of Controllers. It's very proud to have somebody, an entrepreneur like Sridhar, especially Hyderabadi, a fellow Hyderabadi. So thanks, Sridhar, to be on Startup Grind and SaaStract, the series of SaaS events that we've been doing in the month of October. Thank you so much for accepting the invite.
No, pleasure meeting you all. Startup Grind, I've been hearing a lot, but never got a chance to really interact with you all. I'm glad to be here. And I look forward to having not a monologue, but an interesting conversation with all of you.
Absolutely. So we call this fireside chat for a reason. We don't, I mean, it's a virtual fireside chat now. So let's keep it informal. Having said that, we have a certain questions, that I prepared. So let me start by asking you, what's the story of starting up Controllers, right? And so how did this entrepreneurial bug hit you? You graduated from Osmania University in Hyderabad, and then, you started off with this company after 2 years, after AWS started, and it's a pretty disruptive sort of an idea to, come up with a company like Controllers. So just tell us, run through the story of, how you started up Controllers.
Well, actually, I started a few more companies before Controllers was started. So very early on, I knew I would become an entrepreneur. So my first venture first serious venture is around when I was in third year in college, engineering. And tiny ventures, one thing led to the other. All of them are in IT. And software product development to networking, multilingual to internet services company, Pioneer Online to then I started IT education to IT consulting. Some of the very large applications that we developed those days to IT staffing. But, we made money. It's not that we are not successful. We've been successful almost in everything that we did, except one or two small divisions. But I could clearly see that, I'm not building an institution where people can look forward to, making a life, making a difference in their contribute. Or I'm not creating real wealth for the shareholders. So now when I looked at the reasons, I could see that either a company has a scale challenge or a company which has a problem with too small group of customers or a very powerful supplier. One of these forces were always creating these lack of wealth in those companies. That's when I said, I need to work on something which will become a brand, which create wealth as well as, makes a meaningful, gives a meaningful growth to the all enterprises who are working in the company. So hence came, which means that, like SaaS companies, it needs to have a, steady flow of revenues. You acquire a customer, you acquire him for a lifetime, and then you go on building, grow along with them. A model which is a lot more sticky with clients. These are all the criteria that I was looking for. Obviously, data centers fitted into all those choices. And then that was an interesting phase in terms of for data centers as well to get into.
Yeah. Right. So, it was just a couple of years, right? I think we started Controllers just after, AWS started, and that itself is very disruptive. How was the environment? Because you are from Hyderabad, and having the business, as you said, staffing to, ad hoc sort of IT businesses to, the idea of starting up data centers. So did it start with, offering something like a VPS or, private service back then, and then slowly transition into cloud, or what was the journey like?
No, our when we started, our focus was very, very large enterprises.
Right. Okay.
Not just India's global enterprises. That was our customer for our data center.
Mhm.
Our first customer was the biggest telecom company in the world those days. They still
Wow.
are a client. Yeah. So
Right.
the objective was to only go after those few hundred customers,
Mhm.
and then make the data centers very truly special with the tier 4 and that kind of offering.
Right.
But within the first year ended, and we have very aggressive plans. We did attract a lot of customers even before we started the data center. However, a year later, things went
Okay.
downward with all the meltdown in the economy and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and the large enterprises were not really spending new data center involves a lot of capex for them as well.
Right.
So they were not doing it, and that's when we said, okay, let's open up the data centers for smaller companies as well.
Yeah.
And so when you think of smaller companies, they just don't look at the data center. They want full services. They want servers. They want those days it's a servers, VPS,
Yeah.
dedicated server and VPS. Yes,
Yeah.
that's how we started off those. And of course, our group has strength around internet services and IT consulting software. So, I mean, we didn't have to look for outside to create those services. I mean, we could quickly
Mhm.
create those services and started off, and it took off quite well, and it grew exponentially, and it worked. The strategy worked.
Yeah. So I mean, from a tier 4 data center, based out of Hyderabad, to becoming Asia's largest tier 4 data center, right? So that is phenomenal sort of growth, if you see. And so I hear from your strategy man that you grow at 18x, which is phenomenal for any company. I mean, leave alone tech. So how, what was the journey like? I mean, it's actually inspiring to see somebody grow at that rate.
Um, Actually, maybe we were lucky, but I can share some of the things that we did in terms of how
Yeah.
this growth happened. And when we entered, the competition was Tata, Reliance, Airtel, country's
Yeah.
biggest companies, and they do pretty good. I mean, they've been in the business for 15, 20 years. They're the telecom giants, and
Yeah.
they build pretty good data centers, and they have a big brand value, and customers would look at them very, very, seriously, whatever comes from them, right?
Yeah.
So, and then here is a Hyderabad-based company. I mean, not that we were known for, we were successful in Pioneer and all the ventures we did, but we're not like a big, nowhere in comparison.
Mhm.
And then we went world around, and we saw that there are all the best data centers we could visit, learn from them, and now we were convinced of the business model, but we didn't know how do we get our customers. So with this kind of situation, to get customers, you got to be very, very different. You got to innovate. You got to somehow give a lot more value to customers at the similar price points. That's the only way you can get your customers.
Yeah.
Now that's the thought process we went in, and everyone said you can't do better than tier 3
Yeah.
in India. But we said, why not? Okay, let's look at it. And for the research, we found it is possible. And of course, it involves government intervention, and it involves a lot of, policy hurdles and all that. Yeah, and we built a tier 4 data center. Not just that, we've done a lot of innovations around energy consumption. We said
That is my next question actually. That's also
yeah,
the premise, the main topic of today's discussion. So, I mean, a lot of people, like entrepreneurs in the Hyderabad ecosystem, especially the early stage, they talk about like innovation and at least the Hyderabad ecosystem actually we have a lot of innovators, but your track record is quite impeccable. I mean, you have over 200 innovations in a decade. With like average of one innovation every month, right? I mean, when I got in touch with your marketing VP, I think I was like amazed, like literally. So how is this really possible? I mean, so one innovation at least on average per month in your career of starting controllers. So what was like different? What was the secret sauce? How could you innovate so much?
yeah. No, it's actually not a big thing to innovate. For those who work with me, see every day new ideas coming up. I would say that now everyone comes up. Actually, all the people around me also comes up with a lot of innovative ideas. I think the fundamental thing is that I believe in changing things, and I believe that IS code, which is written 10 years ago, or it doesn't mean that it is the Bible, for example, just to give an idea. So all conventional wisdom, yes, we draw inspiration from it, it's great, but at the same time we always look for whether it is relevant today or not. For example, that's one. And most important is that the belief that we can change things, we can make them better. Now, that's the team also that we have got in both Controllers and Cloud4C.
Yeah.
And once you have that belief, and then you start questioning the conventional wisdom which is existing in the industry, you'll find many treasures that where you could do for you to innovate. It was not that difficult for us in this industry. For example, latest was last year we were building a data center, and we usually all our buildings are LEED Platinum certified, and they won all the green energy awards in India.
Yeah.
So we usually do rooftop solar, for example. But then when I looked at the solar panels, they were made of glass. I said, why can't we wrap the building around with those panels? Why can't we just envelope the whole envelope instead of doing the glass, put the solar? And we built a 1.3 megawatt solar plant on the new building that we did in Bombay.
Okay.
Just to give an idea, yeah, probably the first time in the world. Yes, there are buildings where they put some solar visual panels as well, but this is a whole building of this scale, a case study. Similarly, for example, when we look at electrical equipment like transformers, etc., we say, hey, what's happening here? Why are they consuming so much energy just to switch on? Why can't we, go back to the manufacturer and change their designs and ask them to put more copper and change the housing and everything, right? Now that led to the most energy efficient, one of the building blocks, for example. Or we would look at the machines and say, hey, these are consuming, even though data center is running at 10%, 20% efficiency, you're blowing the fans all through. We asked the manufacturers, they said, hey, why can't you put a VRV in it? They said, no, this is it, we can't, this is not done anywhere. We said we will do it ourselves. So we did it. That's one actually national award for innovation. Wow. Similarly, when it comes to IT application management, people are doing primary one side, disaster recovery in one more side, doing backups. And there are big teams to manage all of this, and then making the links up and all that. We've been working with the banks a lot. So that's when we said, why can't we build a platform to do it and so that it does automatically everything. That's how Cloud 4C was born, for
Right.
Copy Cloud. I can go on and on and on. For example, air conditioning systems are designed for people, not for data centers. We said that, but data center designers use ASHRAE. We said no, it has to be designed differently. So that led to, many, no, like that. I mean, in all areas. But the
Right.
most important, I think, is um, we listen to customers.
Mm-hmm.
Only one report which comes to me every day is what our customers said the day before. There's a department, within our company.
Okay.
All unmet needs
Yeah.
of customers turn into major innovations. That's, I would say, is a
That's amazing. I think that is something you mentioned on your LinkedIn, on your profile. Is I spend most of the time in leading strategic initiatives for controllers and spend time with our customers to understand what works well with them and what might be improved upon. So this is your brief kind of statement that you've done. So totally like can imagine. It's a wonderful sort of a statement that a CEO can make, right? So I think Jeff Bezos also says something similar. It's always customer obsession, as they call it, right? Customer obsession, and so I think that could be very well, perceived as your mantra. Very truly, as you have said. But I just wanted to know, how do you, for someone like you, probably you have had this mindset, right? But how do you like inculcate this whole product innovation mindset? And in terms of, I just wanted to know personally if you had any, unfair advantage. Coming from Hyderabad, I just cannot think of any. If you were from the Silicon Valley, I would have asked you that. But I was thinking like, what is it that how do you like think basically as a innovation mindset?
I actually, growing up, I had probably the biggest disadvantage. And I went to Telugu medium school, local government school, and there was it's not that any privileged background or anything of that sort. If any, it's the other way around. Probably, I would say unfair advantage for our competition. For example, when we were starting out Control-S, right? The data centers till then were internet data centers. You would go to host your website, and they were built for that scale. They were built for that purpose. That's why they were in telecom data centers.
Mm-hmm.
But so because the companies, if they host it, there is no connectivity, right? You're on, barely. But by the time it's launched, fiber was almost everywhere or reaching everywhere. It was very clearly visible. Then we said that, once if this is the situation, its website alone need not go to data centers. So entire enterprise workloads can go to data centers. So we designed it like an enterprise data center, suitable for very large enterprises.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you design a data center like that, everything goes through a huge transformation. So, whereas all our competition was still the network-centric kind of a model. So, I would say we were just lucky to get that advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And with the focus of enterprises on IT workloads, not on just the, internet-facing applications.
So you actually spoke about the culture and the team, right, and the kind of early team that you had, and especially your previous things at what you did. So like as a leader, right, what do you do to inculcate this among your teammates, like? So how do you inculcate this mindset? Can you do it, or it comes naturally?
It's not easy.
Right.
When the teams, especially we grew like 4 years ago, we were 300 people. Now we have crossed 2,200 people. It's not easy
Mm-hmm.
to develop the culture when you're growing at this pace.
Yeah.
Right? But when the leadership walks the talk, and they live by the values
Yeah.
that we preach, and everyone gets inspired automatically and follows suit. So that's the primary, I would say, that reason why we are together as a family, and we work very, very well. And of course, there are other things like when you take in people, look at their strengths and
Yeah.
make the roles around their strengths rather than weaknesses. Empower them wherever you can, how much you can,
Yeah.
how we can empower. That was the whole project is all about how can we empower and still maintain the cohesion and growth, right? And without diluting any customer services.
Yeah.
A lot of learnings, and so that's another big initiative that we took up. But most importantly, when we select people, I think we want only good people, people who want to add value to others, especially at the leadership level. That's the one thing that I would look at, whether this person has a
Yeah.
that kind of attitude to um, help his people
Yeah.
and make them successful or not. So that's another key point that we look at.
Right. So I was actually going to ask you about your hiring mantra. You already said it, but just around the point, So what do you? I mean, I'm sure like you would have hired a lot of people in the early days at the leadership level. So do you have any specific preferences for certain brands like IITs? A lot of people ask actually.
I mean, if you see, the biggest mistakes that I've ever did was in hiring. So I'm not a great expert there.
Okay.
But we minimize a lot now. We minimize a lot. Yeah, big degrees. Yes, we've been taking off late. A lot of IIM people from IIMs, etc. Yeah, but it's not that we're taking them because of the degrees, but we see. Yeah, big business schools, they do bring in a quick comprehensive abilities in terms of they can absorb a lot more in shorter time. Definitely, that's a kind of a quality that we see in almost every IIM grad, for example.
Yeah.
But it's not that that is critical. That is very important in our hiring process.
Great.
Sorry,
Yeah.
my Siri is interfering with me.
Oh, is it? I think I'm now fine.
Something is happening. Oh,
Yeah, it's fine now. Yeah.
no. When I'm speaking, if I say SIRI, then it picks up. Start listening.
Oh, okay. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
some of the perks are, of having AI intelligence sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So that's
yeah,
not the only criteria. Yeah, there is definitely that they're sharper, no doubt about it.
yeah,
But at the same time, they have also a lot of aspirations in life in terms of what they want to achieve, and it's not easy to make them really interested in in the work that you do. Then they tend to get easily bored, especially kids from IITs, for example.
yeah,
So for startups who are looking at them, it's good to aspire for. But you need to see whether you have an equally interesting job for
right.
these ambitious kids or not. If you don't have, you better hire someone that
Yeah.
would, yeah.
So I had this, I don't know if it's a controversial thing, but I'll still go and ask you, like, is, when I spoke to your, the VP marketing, Mr. BS Rao, so he told me a very interesting thing about you, that, I find you like Lord Shiva, like the destroyer. So who's destroyed ventures. And he told me, right, I was amazed, like, it seems like you've even destroyed ventures that were even making profits. I mean, to some extent, making business sense, but you would go and ruthlessly kill them. And I've read about this, nature in people like Elon Musk and also a few other entrepreneurs. So, what is this side of yours, the destroyer side of yours?
No, I don't call it as destroyer. No, I don't.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, I see certain businesses as sunset businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Time changes, and when the time changes, products or services become redundant or about to become redundant, but they are extremely profitable. But you could see that 5 years down the road, that product will not exist.
Yeah.
So let's, for example, take one such business is dedicated servers and VPS. We used to do, right. We used to sell like hotcakes every day. Our guys are more than busy, loading orders and hundreds of servers. We used to offload, put them in the data centers every week. Now, very profitable business and growing rapidly. But then I could see that very clearly in, way back in 2008-9, I could see that that business won't exist, or rather, it could exist in a very, it will not be a growing business and become extremely competitive, because the value proposition of cloud is much higher compared to taking a dedicated server and trying to manage it. The cloud does a lot of things on its own, right? When I saw that and I started experimenting those days, that's the time when we launched our own cloud product as well. Around the time we started working on it, a year later we launched it, and I could very clearly see that that's not a business which will be there. Then what do I do with people? Are you there, Kashyap? You froze. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. I lost you in between.
Yeah. So you're saying about the cloud.
Yeah. So when I saw that the cloud does a lot of stuff that a dedicated server, you need to put people and do it, I said this is going to soon replace the dedicated server or a VPS business.
Yeah.
So now at that time we were doing extremely well. I said, but if I continue to grow, we're going to have a much bigger problem later on, right? Hello, I think you froze again. Hello, Shanti, can you hear me?
Yeah, Sridhar, you're audible.
Hi, Mr.
Okay.
Yeah. Please continue. Please continue.
Okay. So let's say that we are at this size business, and then grow it to this bigger, much bigger, 10 times bigger, and suddenly people say they want to migrate to cloud.
Yeah.
Yes, we will make money during this 2-3 year period. But what will happen to all the employees who are working there at that time?
Mm-hmm.
What will happen to all the investments that we make? Right?
Yeah.
So, and all those people will not be trained on cloud. So when I look at that picture, I said, let me sacrifice these 3 years profit rather than build on something which is not going to last long. So what we did was we raised the prices by 30-40%. We told all our customers, please use your cloud product. We can't phase it out, but if you want this, it comes to you at a premium. Then we trained all our people on the cloud product. We said that if you do not learn this and make it your part of core skill, you are going to become redundant.
Yeah.
And we retrained all the people, and we smoothly transitioned. And when the cloud happened, when the dedicated server business went down, we had no business at all, or rather, very, So, if you don't do it, that'll become a kind of a, yes, you go up, and then you drop suddenly, right?
Yeah.
So, similar thing we are doing right now also. We have over 1,400 people who are experts in making the applications live, whether it is Oracle or SAP or whether it is operating systems, different databases. I think 6 months ago or so, I took all of them on a call and I said that, look, all of your jobs are going to become redundant in the next 5 to 10 years because the computers will take over. So whether it is DevOps or RPA or artificial intelligence, it's easy to replicate, put the logic into these using these technologies and build it. So I said, guys, do you want to be a server administrator when there are no server administrator jobs, for example, or a database administrator when there are no such job exists? Or do you guys want to be the change and be the guys who will develop it? Right?
Yeah.
So my vision, the way I see it is that in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be all system administrators will not be doing system admin jobs, or database administrator will not be doing database administrator jobs. They will be coding. They will not be. They will code once and then let it run, and then if there is a change again, they will code. I said this is what the direction Cloud4C is taking. And all of you are with me. Yes, they all agreed. And everyone is now going through coding skills training now in the company. Yeah, we have almost, I think, 200 plus projects right now going at various stages. And we are going to make all our jobs redundant in the next 3 years. So I think, which means additional investments, which means that I have to set up a whole new team of programmers to be with these guys, and then it does bleed for 2-3 years, but we stay ahead of curve and be the game changer rather than be drowned in the new technology wave.
Right.
So I don't know if BS sees it as a destroyer, or I see it as a every destruction there's a bigger creativity, right?
There's always like a good side of destroying, right? You always can create new stuff. The whole the perspective of the creators, I think innovators destroy, right? I think that is one of the things. They're the first people to critique what they've built. I think that's the spirit of what Mr. P.S. Rao was articulating what he said, right? I think so. Like, I wanted to understand, like, how do you, envisage this whole vision, right? As you said, you could see something way ahead of what others can. And this is one of the traits of any good tech entrepreneur or, any visionary is that you can see something.
When you don't see it,
yeah.
And when you lose everything, you learn some very costly lessons in life. Right? For example, when we were running the internet services company, and free internet services companies have come. Right? They've come, they've established right in front of us without us noticing, we knew there will be competition. We never expected that they will wipe out the entire market and destroyed themselves also. That's a different story. Within a year they were not to be seen, but they left a whole industry of dead bodies. So those kind of mistakes which nearly took me to bankrupt. taught me, human brain learns. That's probably my story. So
Yeah,
my antennas are always up. I'm always watching the industry, watching outside world. It's not what happens in your industry that changes these things, right? It's happening something around your ecosystem.
correct.
Something, somewhere, someone doing something else not related to your industry is going to affect your whole industry. So when you see it, it's any entrepreneur's mindset is to say, look, I mean, I'm good, I'm doing well. Refuse to accept it. But if you are humble enough, I've trained myself to become over a period of time,
Yeah,
and say, hey, this automation is going to take over the entire administrative jobs of
right.
our entire IT industry, right?
Yeah,
Now, when you see that, yes, it's not immediate. All our balance sheets for the next 3 years, 4 years are going to be. I don't see any problem with that. Yeah, we're going to continue to grow. But when you see that, and you want to build an institution for the long term, you better be ready when the change happens. You are actually the change maker in your own in your own industry or your markets that you're operating in. That's so. I think every entrepreneur has to be extremely careful of. There's one book I read. I'm trying to recollect its name. It's written by Malcolm Gladwell.
yeah,
He talks about changes. I mean, how things, the tipping point. Yeah, how changes gradually they seem nothing, but there will be a tipping point comes, then suddenly everything
right.
changes, right? So once a tipping point happens in your industry, you can't do anything. But if you are able to spot, and then in fact you could actually use that to your biggest advantage.
Correct. There's someone from one of the participants, Mr. Vijay Vedantam from the Hyderabad Management Association. So he's written a comment saying it's not just your industry, but the other industries also affect the way you in your industry sometimes runs. So there's a lot of this domino effect, right, or the butterfly effect as they call it. So a lot of times what happens somewhere else remotely that you can't imagine. For example, the famous story of Apple, right? It's the entire ecosystems thriving of whether the ancillary industries, the hardware industries that came up together to make sure that a smartphone could at the biggest level can actually scale up and run, right? So in your case, like what was for data centers to operate a tier 4, one of the largest Asia's largest data centers, what role did the entire ecosystem play in terms of how cheap the servers got in by Dell or HP, for example, or what was really happening that made things a little more sensible in terms of a business?
In a B2B space, especially in a large enterprise, that's where 80% of our revenues comes from. Very, very large enterprises. These are all global. In that space, if you don't understand the ecosystem, there's no room for a startup.
Correct.
Okay. Even though you have a great product or whatever, because the way it works is completely different. You cannot afford those hotshot sales guys that the IBMs have, or the big system integrators have.
Yeah.
Right? Top 10 companies, whether it's Cognizant or Infosys has. Now, or a big product company like Oracle or SAP has. If you have a product, it's even more tougher.
Yeah.
Right? Services is slightly okay, but if you have a product, it's a lot more, 10 times more tough. For example, SaaS companies. We had a similar situation with Cloud4C 5 years ago. And no matter what I do, it will not work. But what we did was to focus on building alliances with large tech companies.
Okay.
Now, I strongly believe for all SaaS companies, that's the way to go. There's no way you could end up in selling to large companies your product. No. Your big brother has to take it and say, look, this product works.
Right.
So now, which big brother will it take, and why will it take? Right? If you should have a powerful value proposition for them, you're either enhancing their capabilities or geo reach. For example, we went to SAP and we told them we would take their cloud, use our cloud platform to deliver their cloud services
Yeah.
in new markets, smaller markets.
Right.
Right? So in all these 25 countries that we went into, most of the customers are saying,
Right. Okay.
right, these are the global customers who took us everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the model I would say that any SaaS company should do. Otherwise, if you are doing SMBs, yeah, you could still go ahead with the freemium models, etc.
Yeah.
But large enterprises, no freemium, nothing will work. Right?
Right.
It's only the alliance route. Use the ecosystem, do co-innovation with large companies, and get into their marketplaces, and then piggyback on them or the cloud providers.
Yep.
That's the model that in a way that we also did.
So, I mean, an interesting insight is, the strategy is when you can't compete with big people, you collaborate with them and you work with them, right? So it's very nice to see, you work with Amazon, you work with Google, you work with Uber. So what's the story? Like, for a lot of people, they would appear like your competitors. But when I spoke to Mr. BS, I was like, no, we don't compete with them. But we in fact help them, right? And I was like surprised, how do you help Amazon? How do you help Google? And how do you, so I just wanted to know from you directly.
Yeah. No, we work on both ways with, for example, this hyperscaler companies, right? There are 5 large hyperscalers companies in the world. 3 of them are our number 1, 2, 3 customers for data centers. So we enable their data center infrastructure,
right?
And we help them scale up quickly, and so that's one part of the piece. I mean, we are kind of a supplier of services and data center infrastructure for them. Our top 3 customers of Controllers are cloud companies. And in Cloud4C, what we do is our value proposition in Cloud4C is not the cloud instance. No, that was 5 years ago when we launched 4-copy cloud and stuff like that. But what we did, again, differentiating, right? So what we did is that we said we will do not just plain vanilla. The second wave after server destruction, the second wave was cloud destruction for me. Plain vanilla instance.
Right.
I said, whoever are going to be in the plain vanilla instance, unless you are a scale of Amazon or Microsoft, you are not going to stand chance. Right? So what we did is that, okay, now how do you differentiate? What is that these big giants don't do? Right? They don't do managed services. They don't do application management services. They don't have a deep, knowledge of, SAP or Oracle or etc. So we said we will focus on those workloads. Extremely complex. For example, banking workloads. There are 25, 30 different applications, 30, 40 software security tools, and continuity, business continuity, regulatory requirements. I mean, it's a massive subject on its own. In that context, the cost of the cloud instance is like probably 10% of the overall cost. We said we'll go up this value chain, and we built practices around those. And so when we did that, and then we said that we will actively kill or reduce the just the plain vanilla instance business. Right? Today, 85% of our revenue comes from those services, whether banking, SAP, or Oracle, full suite of services. It's more like a platform as a service, coupled with SaaS of our own automation management tools, and driven by drill down processes, customized processes. So it's a different value proposition. Now, when you do this, you take out this instance, put Google instance, Amazon, AWS. yes, that revenue goes to them, but we still have, but we have the partnerships on a much larger, you know,
Right.
canvas. Even though you lose some revenue, um, it's so that's the third disruption within 5 years of Cloud4C's journey that we did. That's what is working. So we do deals now almost every week with Azure, with Amazon, starting to do the same with Google. We became their global partners.
Right.
So that's
So
the
one of the attendees actually uses controllers, and so he was asking very interesting question.
thank you.
His name is Sharat Mutyala.
Yeah.
So he's asking, we need a startup plan in the beginning. Maybe he's talking about a price point. So do you have any specific kind of thing like controllers for startups, like how Amazon for startups is there?
Yeah, what we can say is that we could work some packages. That's not
Yeah.
an issue. Um, what we can say is that you're not buying instance from us.
Yeah.
You're buying a partnership with us. There are several companies who start with one server from us and become huge. And that journey will not happen with just a cloud company. You need an IT partner. Now, there's a customer who became closely acquainted with me, and then I asked him, what brings you to Control S or a drink?
Mhm.
He says, Sridhar, it's not tier 4, it's not your customer support,
Yeah.
your team that you built, the culture you built, that's not the thing. But you know why we stick to you. No matter Amazon comes and AWS, Azure comes and says, okay, I'll give you 9 months, 12 months funding, right? Why we stick to you is because they have a product company. They are developing product. And then every time they face a challenge, he's thinking of, okay, let's call IBM or someone and give them consulting assignment to solve this problem.
Yeah.
It seems his team will say, no need of all that. We'll just book a call to Control S. We'll have a chat with their people and it'll be done.
Okay.
And I believe that's the, bigger value add.
Yeah.
You need a lot more than
Manage.
just the cloud instance. Most of our clients are around us because of that, and they've seen phenomenal growth. Growth brings in tons of challenges.
Mhm.
Right, there you need a partner who could solve your security problems, or partner who could give you different geographies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and each customer of theirs faces problems. There are many areas where we go help our customers win their customers.
Right.
They actually they don't call them to their offices. They call them to our data centers and sit with our folks
Okay.
and strategize. Yeah.
Right. There's a question from Vijay Vedantam. So it's a little long one. He says, remote infrastructure management market has been witnessing tremendous growth challenges and temporary growth dent at the backdrop of unprecedented pandemic. So I was in fact going to ask you, because how has the COVID affected most cloud companies? Actually say there's a growth. So what are the major disruptions, right, in terms of say promotional activities or the volatile dynamics, and also the fast changing government regulations and policies, and amid that is also like funding breakthroughs, right? For example, your competitor gets a lot of funds, they get ahead of the game, right? So it's a very tricky, a very highly capex intensive area, right, to manage. So what's your take like on this? It's a relatively broad question.
Yeah, I know there are bits of pieces. I will try to
Yeah.
answer, and then whatever pieces were not answered,
Sure. Yeah.
you can ask once again. Yeah, I get the last piece right. Huh? Everyone asks me this question in terms of this is a huge capital intensive
Yeah.
industry, and most of the competitors are now either acquired by MNCs. There's only us who are a private company in India now. I'm talking about top 5-6 companies who have like 90% market share. We are the only one which is kind of still privately held, and no pension funds. And the American fund that we had as a partner, we bought them back. They asked me this question. I say, just the money won't get market share.
Yeah.
It's never going to be a game changer. We have seen, for example, one of our competitor, or most of our competitors, have invested thousands of crores.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas we could have done over 1,000 crores, just about, or 1,200. But we have a better market share than them in terms of profitability and
Yeah.
overall. Right? Now, how does this work? Early on, again, a few more mistakes I've done. Inability to do financial forecasting, right? I think all entrepreneurs, it's a must. You can't depend on your financiers, CFO, or your chartered accountants to tell you how your business is doing. Kashyap, I think I lost you. Hello, Kashyap.
Yeah. See,
Hello. Yeah. Are you guys there? Hello.
yeah, see that. I think there was a small issue. Am I audible? Yeah.
Where is this hosted?
Okay. Now yeah.
No. I'm just yeah.
Yeah.
We're kidding. Yeah. Yeah. So I was talking about financial
Yeah.
engineering.
The,
Um,
the rule of
I
understanding
was
risk
saying
is
that
literacy for entrepreneurs, right? You said you can't depend on CAs. Like, I'm shameful, but I should admit that I depend on the CA. I don't really get hang of finance. Yeah.
yeah. No, don't get them. Don't get me wrong. You need them. You need your CFO. You need your
Yeah.
chartered accountants to do the accurate accounting, which is very, very important. Internal audits as well. We spend a lot of money with the EYs, Deloitte's to get
Yeah.
do that, which is very important, by the way. They add value,
Yeah.
not just auditing. They add
Yeah.
value. However, all of them can give you a postmortem, but you need to be able to forecast a year in advance, 2 years in advance, and build your plans. And you need to have different metrics to measure the financial performance and your cash flows, and how the capex works, and how the working capital changes, needs change,
Yeah.
and most importantly, your stickiness of your customers and your ability to take risks. Right? How much debt and all of these decisions. I would say financial
Yeah.
forecasting personally should be done by entrepreneurs. If it has a blind eye, suddenly you'll have one blind completely. One day you'll see a different picture altogether. I've seen it, by the way. I was no different. Yeah. So, but the last 10 years, we could accurately predict in terms of our cash flows. Of course, the nature of the business also helps. SaaS companies also similar cash flows there.
Yeah.
And we have done innovative deals with customers. We did a lot of innovation in sales,
Right.
in doing the large deals with customers. So actually, we raised more money from customers than our own equity.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yes. In exchange for, they're not deposits. They're all one-time fees. In exchange for better rates and better terms.
You could do this without, doing an IPO?
Yeah. No IPO.
Okay.
Yeah. No, these are like, it didn't come in the form of equity from customers. It comes as one-time fees. What I meant to say is that we could convince our customers to give us more money than that.
Right.
Recently, a month ago, we did a deal with one very large client of ours to pay us 1 year upfront fees. These are upwards of 40 million US, right? In exchange of better deals. Yeah. So then you did innovative structures. We partnered with the Bombay Stock Exchange. We partnered with National Stock Depositories. We did a lot of innovative structures around their. For example, someone had a land, and then we built the data center in exchange for a revenue share, or they becoming the anchor customer, so the project is viable on day one. There are a lot of things you could do. Money is not everything. It's a myth that yes, there are some models like e-commerce where you spend discount, and then you buy the customers and then bleed the opposition to death, right? It works in some industries, yes, but not in industries like not all industries are governed by how much money the competition has, especially data centers. No.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing actually. We have actually the CFO of Meenakshi Group, the infra company. In fact, when you said, you've done something in return for equity in terms of land or something, that's very interesting. Anything that you could do in Hyderabad ecosystem or, outside Hyderabad?
Yeah, Hyderabad we did with the Bombay Stock Exchange.
Oh, in BSC was in Hyderabad, is it? Okay.
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yes.
That's really amazing. Now we'll open it up. I think we have some people who probably will directly interact, if that's okay. Shall I open it up?
Sure.
Yeah, we have in fact Dr. Kishore, who's the CFO of Meenakshi. He's been very active on the chat. I think what I'll do is I'll quickly, open up the conversation. From my end, I'm done with most of my questions. I just have one question, which I'll ask in the end. So let me just very quickly open it up. So guys, let me quickly open it up. I'll have to give presenter mode to people. So we have Vijay Vedantam from Hyderabad Management Association and Dr. Kishore, the CFO. So when you were talking about finance, he was appreciating, the chat.
Sorry, I didn't mean that CFO's job.
No.
Not important. That's not what I meant.
Of financial engineering, the great silent capital that you were getting from the customers. I think he really is a big fan of that. We have, I think, Kishore here. So, sir, I think you can unmute yourself. You also have Vijay. Let me just get people on. I think a minute, I'll just turn on everybody. Sharath is one of your customers, so he's the one who was asking for a startup plan, and also probably he will directly like to ask. I think he was paying upwards of Kishore is here.
Hello, doctor. Yeah.
So you're not audible, Dr. Kishore. Yeah, now I think you're.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, you can call me Sridhar.
Yeah, hi, Sridhar ji. So it's really a wonderful session, sir. I can given not only the inputs regarding the data center, but you have given a wide thing about all the startup ecosystems and all. What is the prerequisites we need to follow? So thank you so much for the info. And just recently, I have started my own private limited, sir. Recently, I have started, and I want to plan. I'm planning for a SaaS product. So initially, my developer said that we need to have a instance so that we can dump all the code on it, and we can see the how the code runs and all with the different locations and all. So I was given with a 100 GB data and just 4 GB RAM, but as per the reality, it was we are using much lesser than that. And just why I'm saying is, in the beginning stage, we are doing with the bootstrapping, and every rupee counts for us. And just we need another support, like how you can support us in scaling or any other mentoring or in price discounts, much lesser, or some like as Kashyap sir said, do you provide any credits like Amazon Web Services credits or anything like thing?
Yeah, we don't have a formal program like that, what Amazon or Azure does, but you can send it to me and I'll definitely take a look at it. Kashyap will have contacts.
Yeah, I can connect. I can share his email ID, Sharath.
Yes, sir. How can I connect, sir?
Kashyap will
I'll share his email ID. You can write to him, Sharath.
Yes, sir. So it will be really very
and
helpful.
if it is a large enterprise, and if it is a large enterprise or enterprise category product, we could probably help you go to market as well.
Yes, sir. That
once the product is proven.
Yes, sir. That's where we are. If you are really doing that with us, and we are ready to open, and now I'm also in Hyderabad only, sir. Once we go for 3 to 4 months later, I can show you my product live also. And if you, with all your experience, once if you see the product, then definitely you can see how far it can go.
Sure.
Yeah. So yes, sir. So thank you so much for the startup grind, for giving me this opportunity to interact directly with the people, and thank you so much. And definitely, sir, don't forget to share me the mail ID, sir. It will be really helpful.
Kashyap, please.
So people can reach out to Mr. Sridhar. So I'll do that.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. I will send you the mail ID. I will send you the mail ID from my mail. I'm Sharath, sir. Don't forget. Right.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Right. Bye.
So,
thank you.
Kishore,
you're all part of the Thai community as well.
So, yeah, I think I just forgot to tell people that Sridhar is actually the president of Thai Hyderabad. So, guys, alert. So, I think Sridhar, you can probably invite people to join Thai as well. We'd be happy that to exchange. If people want to join.
No. I'm asking. No. I mean, it looks like you're also doing similar activity.
Yeah.
TICE is a non-profit.
Right.
It's just about helping entrepreneurs. Right? We are putting together, but this year TIE is different. December 7th to 9th or so. I mean, I'll ask Sirisha to send you details.
Yeah.
We are putting together Thai Global Summit.
Yeah.
It's a massive place. I mean, over 20,000 employees are sorry. Over 20,000 entrepreneurs are likely to attend this event. Over 200 speakers have already signed up. These are the likes of Satya Nadella to most probably Mr. Modi himself, and many. I mean, if you look at TGS 2020 website, you will see some of the speakers. Sri Sadhguru. Yeah. So, it's a great event, but you can hear them all the time on the web, right? But that's not the point here. We are organizing extensive networking sessions. So all your startups can opt at the time of registration to meet investors or partners or customers when we do the matchmaking and organize meetings for you all. So that's I think the biggest difference. And Startup Grind should become an official partner.
I'll write to you probably. So we.
Or write to Srini. Srini is working with me almost full time on it.
Okay.
For 40 plus charter members of Thai Hyderabad are on every day morning call with me.
Oh wow, amazing! So
for the last 2 months. For the last 2 months.
Right.
Yeah. To put together this event.
Yeah, absolutely. So I totally. I think even now there is a conference going on. So I was in touch with Funny Patamata. So he was in fact,
Sorry, I didn't hear you. This
yeah,
question.
I was saying that when I was talking to Funny Patamata about this, even right now as we speak, there is something going on in Thai. So I think there's a Thai event even now. Perhaps there's a global summit planning, meetup or something. I don't know. So I asked him to join this. He said politely, we have a Thai event happening parallelly, so I would hop in and hop off if he has time. So I'll actually share across, about the Thai Global Summit with all the folks of Startup Grind, Hyderabad as well. In fact, Startup Grind is.
Sure.
So I'm also taking care of certain other chapters in India. So there are more than 15 chapters in different metros. We're trying to consolidate and become a Startup Grind India sort of an entity with all the unification from startups in Bangalore to Delhi and Bombay and few other cities. So that will be an interesting thing. And right now we are in the consolidation phase to understand, the needs. And a lot of people, right from investors to other folks. Obviously, there's a big network that we can leverage from Thai because Thai has like a record. I mean, a long track record. So we'll try to see how synergetically we work because we are also not really a profit organization. So we also do it like a pro bono, like a social entrepreneurship angle, mainly to actually spread knowledge. So we are not much into networking. I think virtual networking is something that, as you rightly said, would be very valuable. A lot of people actually ask us if you can connect to the VCs, if you can connect to business leads, or if you can connect to. There are a lot of people right asking. So and we are not like DNI, we are more like
Then,
education people.
yeah,
So
no,
we are more about the knowledge, and from knowledge I think to transition more to that service network model where we can actually help meaningfully. I think that's the transition that we're also looking at. So happy to actually write you, Sridhar, on that. Yeah.
sure. Let's make you guys a official partner,
Sure.
and so it kind of helps your
Yeah.
brand as well. Plus, all your startups, they can. Over 200 investors have signed up.
Pardon?
Uh, Over 200
Oh
investors
wow,
have signed
fantastic.
up
Oh,
for the
okay.
event. Yes, so there will be I mean, you can apply for giving a pitch to the
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, to the investors, and also for funding sessions,
Yep.
awards. Yeah, there's a lot of activity
Absolutely.
there.
It's all power pack.
So it'll definitely add
Yep.
value to
Yep.
startup grind.
Sure, Sridhar. Happy to do that. It'll be great, in fact. Yeah, I think Kishore, sorry to hold you back. I think you can go ahead now. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Enjoyed meeting all of you.
Yeah. I think Kishore has, Sridhar, just I think we will take one last question, if that's possible.
Okay. Yeah,
Kishore,
sure. Yeah, I need to. Yeah.
you're not audible, Kishore. Can you just, yeah. It's still, no, you're not, Kishore. I think you just check with your the microphone settings there probably. Uh, Maybe he's just typing down. Just a minute. If you can just spare a minute, I'll take it from him. Kishore, I think you're typing. So I think, are you typing? Okay. Cool. Okay. So he's just typing. Just a minute, Sridhar.
Hello, in the meantime, can I ask a question there?
Yeah. Sure. Go on.
Yeah, hi, this is Rajesh here.
Yeah.
I'm going to build up a new product-based company for agriculture there. It's a new innovation and we have been in the research for a long time and we have got the actual product right away. So what the hurdle we are facing is right now, we are in the startup mode and the funds have got exhausted to build up the machinery and the dye works and everything for production. So how can to handle this type of situation, sir?
Angel investors.
Like
Is
we
the
are like
one way to.
product that has been tie up with the farmers and government is able to support up in the future there. So we are in the transition phase. In the meantime, we are like not the angel funders are taking for equity stakes and everything. So how to handle that situation once?
Okay.
It's difficult to say. I mean, with the information
Yeah.
you gave, probably you can write to me in terms of and see if I can connect you to some people if there is uh, a merit in it. And there are some government programs
Yes.
also. If it is a social impact
Yes.
thing, there could be a different, central government
Schemes.
um, schemes. So let's see. I mean, how we can be of
Yes, sir.
help to
I
you.
surely write to Kashyap there. Thanks for that.
So Kishore,
Thank you.
I think he typed. So it's a very big question. Is controllers planning any acquisitions and corporate actions? So he being a finance guy, I think he's looking at M&A probably. So
Yeah, we do. We do. We have a full-fledged M&A
okay.
team, and in the last 6 months, we have done over 3 investments. And we acquired a robotic process automation company, invested in a process mining company, invested in a SAP services company. And we are looking at more. It's another 4 or 5 companies that we are looking at right now. All in enterprise space, product or services.
Wow, that's nice. I think Kishore, you got your answer. So I think he's probably will follow up on that. So there's just one last
Sure,
question
sure.
from one of your customers. Is he needs expert in guiding.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Kashyap.
So one of
Lost
your
you.
users of controllers.
You're not audible,
Am I audible now,
Kashyap.
Sridhar? Am I audible now, Sridhar?
Uh, Unable to hear you.
So Sridharji, myself, Sharath, I have posted my question.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Please go on, Sharath.
I think, so I am,
No, we are not able to
I
hear
think
you.
there is a problem from Sridhar sir's side. He couldn't hear us.
No, he's audible. He's audible. Sridhar is audible.
Sir, are you audible? Sridharji?
I mean, Sridhar
I
is
think
audible.
I think he couldn't hear. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, Sridhar, are you audible to you? Sridhar, are you not? Okay. There is seems to be some. Let me.
Hello? Sir, Sridharji, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Sharath. Sridhar, are you audible? Are you audible? No. Okay.